How much does trauma really affect a person's life? Like today, I wanted to shed some light about trauma and how to spot traumas. And basically, like, what is it? What is trauma? And how trauma could affect your life on a day to day basis. So recently, I was in a bike accident 7 weeks ago, actually. I had two major surgeries, broken my arm completely, and when I crashed, I fell off the bike, somersaulted, and broken my arm. And just as I was on the road, I was wearing like these jeans, and my jeans were rubbing against the road. It's like a sandpaper on your skin, and it dragged me for a good 3-4 seconds. And in that process, my butt completely ripped. And if you guys are wondering, yes, like right in the butthole, like it ripped. Don't want to show you any photos, and ugh. But anyways, it took some time to recover, and still in recovering. And I'm here in Nepal, and yesterday we decided to go for a small hike. Nothing so crazy because I'm off recovery and stuff. And we go down, we walk around, and suddenly I have this like stinging feeling right in my butt area. And it turns out it was chafings. It was chafings against my old wound that there's a new skin there, but it hasn't fully closed. And when I was walking, it was rubbing, and it started to bleed, and it kind of like it. In the process of when the shaving happens, we went back to the hotel and checked out the situation. And I had no control over how I panicked. It almost felt like the first day after my surgery, when I was in excruciating amount of pain for that 2 weeks, when I couldn't go to the toilet properly and I couldn't control my bowels, and that it was a huge problem. And that same exact moment when the chafings happened right on my butt area, it triggered something in me, and I went straight on a panic mode. Right? I mean, chafings is chafings. We all have chafings, but it was more on where it was where my wound was, and psychologically, that made me feel like the first time I was in the hospital, and this scarcity kind of built up. And I just want to express how trauma is like. So every time when you go through a situation, every time when you go through an event that caused quite some sort of a charge, an example of that could be a death in the family, or a tragic breakup, or abusive relationship, or it could vary from things to things. And what it is that if the issue is not resolved, then when it happens, something similar happens again, your mind will take over, and your mind will associate that in the past, and it will cause the trigger to hit much harder. And so you're going through that, and it's not just you're going through that, but the people closest around you gets affected. Your family members, your friend, your loved ones, they are at the back end receiving this here. So working on a trauma is not just for you, but it's for the closest people around you. And going back to my chafings, I came back and I panicked. I couldn't see any I couldn't at that time see the bright side of this at all. It was just the memory of the hospital and the pain that I endured. It was a lot. And yeah, it's just that lingering that lingering thing of this traumatic behavior is actually there's a whole science behind it. And when you're always in this stressful state, you know, your cortisol levels is up, your stress hormones and chemicals, and then your adrenal glands gets alerted, releasing cortisol to help you encounter the stress, let your body be ready to fight or flight. And all of a sudden, let's imagine that when you're in this state all the time, in this stressful state, your body is producing chemicals to be in a state of flight or fight. When that happens, everything else gets suppressed in the body. You don't get any digestive fluids in your digestive tract, and your saliva glands start going off, and basically the body's normal production stops, because now it's not time to eat, it's not time to rest, it's time to run, or it's time to fight. And when you're always in that state, then we are constantly making new genes with what we do on a day-to-day. When you laugh, you make new genes. When you cry, when you're upset, you know, we're always developing more genes, because we are a body. We produce proteins. We always constantly produce proteins, and our thoughts actually affects the way we produce genes. And a person who's always stressful, who's always in a state of anger, in a misery, they are making shitty genes along the way, and that's how you get sick, and that's where your diseases comes in, and that's the long-term way of looking at things. But trauma is one of those things that creeps up on you around the corner, and is not really the situation is bad, but it's your experience that caused the situations to be bad. And if we can't work on the breakups or the sorrow or the pain and move past it, it brings a lot of pain. And then sometimes, most of the times, what happens is when we want to, sometimes it's heavy. It's so heavy that we don't want to think about it. And when we don't think about it, we shut some parts of ourselves just as a defensive mechanism to protect the way we're really feeling. And what that does, it takes out the life force in you. Your vitality, your feeling of being alive vanishes bit by bit based on your traumatic events that has happened. So my friends, I'm just making this video to say it is so important to address these issues for the long-term health and longevity and our mental state of being. So thank you for listening.